Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Yulia Putri Utami. I'm from PPAB 2019. Um, in this video, I will talk about Session 9 are speaking as transactional discourse and performance speaking discourse. Okay, for the first is speaking as a transactional discourse. If we talk about speaking, certainly what comes to our mind is a conversation activity that we do every day with the people around us. Of course, this conversations activity aims to provide information to or more people involved in the conversation. Besides that, these conversations will also show our social attitudes or social context because, of course, humans are social creatures. In addition to have speaking purpose that I have mentioned it earlier, there are also speaking purposes for pride. Other purpose in some situations. Some speaking purposes are to give instructions or to get things done. There are also people who use speaking to describe things, to complain about people's behavior, to make polite requests, and to entertain people with jokes or anecdotes. This is according to Richards. So it can be said that spoken discourse not only function as a medium used to establish social relationship, but also has functions to transfer the spoken message. So this time I will focus on discussion briefly based on my knowledge and understanding of speaking as a traditional transactional discourse. According to According to Kaharudin 2014, speaking as transactional discourse is a function of or spoken discourse that functions as a medium in conveying message in our social life. And according to Richard 2008, said that speaking as transactions refers to a situations where the focus is on what is said and done. And according to Richard, speaking as a transactional includes discussions, debates, and interview activities or job interviews. And regarding the main characteristic of transactional speaking, Richard said that there are 5 characteristics that we can pay attention to our analyze. And the main features of transactional speaking are: the first is it functions to exchange information. It is message oriented, which means to communicate meaning. Participants use strategies understand each other. It needs more questions, repeats, checks for comparisons, and ideas negotiations normally occurs. And the last, language accuracy is not always important. Richard 2008 said that is of the opinion that participants in transactional speaking are in need of some skills in order to enable them involved in transactional discourse activities. The skill can be classified into the abilities of the participant to explain a need or intentions, describe something, ask questions, ask for clarifications, confer informations, justify an opinion, make suggestions, clarify understanding, make comparisons, and agree and disagree. Okay, for the next, I will analyze a transactional speaking, namely the debate. For example, the debate given by Sir Kahar is was the presidential candidate debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. First, I will analyze the first part. is the initiations, where the initiation is a kind of initial or opening part in a debate or speaking. As a transition in initial, there um, in initials there are five general structures. The first is opening. Opening include the first greeting, first mention the funeral, like "Good morning" from Hofstra University in Hampstead, New York. The next in um, in opening we can tell about introductions, like "Hi, I'm Elsa Holt, an author of NBC Nightly News." The next is stating intentions and introducing the participant candidates. Um, this is optional, but you can also say the sponsor. The next is structuring a debate organizations, like theme, allotment, topic area, debate, procedure, requests for attentions, and welcoming candidates. And also you can giving applause. Um, bring bring the candidates in. And the next introductions the topic, like main issue and supporting issues, and inviting arguments, like selecting the first speaker. uh, uh, Next, addressing questions, like I will give us that example, like why are you a better choice than your opponent to create the kinds of job that will put more money into the pockets of American workers? Okay, for next I will analyze the second part. It's a response. There are four structures in this response. Is first, expressing gratitude. You can say like, well, thank you. The next, overviewing the topics, starting issues and supporting points. Next is stating solutions. There's a generation. There are like generating questions, clarifying the solutions, and you can also giving recommendations. The third is a follow up. The follow up expressing gratitude, like secretary. The follow up, the first is expressing uh, gratitude, like Secretary Clinton. Thank you. Just and the fourth is initiations, like generally structures inviting agreements, like selecting the next speaker by mentioning the name. You can also giving statement, um, like the same questions to you. And the fifth is response. Uh, the generic response. First is opening, like expressing gratitude and overviewing the topic, like starting the issues and supporting points, agreements, starting solutions, and uh, overviewing the topics, like stating the issues and supporting points. And the next is stating solutions, like encouraging, clarify the solutions, and giving recommendations. So based on the results on the analysis, it can be concluded that speaking as transactional discourse has three patterns of discourse. Is the initiations, uh, which is a prefix or introduction, which opening. Which will be the cause of response. The second is response are included the opening as well, but are on an overview of the topics that solutions and provide recommendations. And the last is R is a response. That will cause an F or feedback such as like you can say thank you. Okay, in this research, the information gathered from the analyzing the transactional spoken discourse bring about some advantage for uh, ELF teachers who are interested in teaching debates or discussion to improve their students' transactional speaking skills. Among other things, the teachers may use the discourse sequence as a pattern to complete transitional speaking teaching materials in which the utterances in the materials are sequenced by the using the generic structures from each move in the transitional spoken discourse. Next, use the utterance from the data as natural language expressions, which can be used to perform particular functions in transactional spoken discourse, such as debates or discussions. Okay, now we will move for the next material, and the next material is performance speaking discourse. Perform perform performance speaking that is done in a public or a lot of people. In this speaking, the speaker will use formal language because, of course, again, we are doing public speaking activities, discussing very important things. The difference between speaking as transactional discourse and performance speaking discourse. In speaking as transactional discourse, there will be several people or more than one person, or it is a dialogue activity. Meanwhile, while a performance speaking discourse is carried out only by one person or monologue activity. Examples are speeches and presentations. Because performance speaking is only done alone or just by one person, therefore there are some people who think that performance speaking activities are very difficult thing to do because of course it requires more confidence because we are alone, so we can only rely on ourselves, not other people. In addition, when we become a public speaker or given a speech, we must make an effective speech and relate to the discussions. Burhanuddin and Kaharudin 2015 claimed that being effective when speaking in public means that the public speakers need to make effort to make their speeches before their audience easy to understand and to remember that the audience gets influenced by these speeches. Therefore, they need to know the first is how to select an appropriate topics for speech. Two, how to use communication strategy when making a public speaking. Three, how to employ generic structure of an effective speech. Next, how to speak in a public by using appropriate language in terms of appropriate expressions and grammar for some particular function as commonly available in public speaking. The next is we will talk about the analysis. The generic structures of the speech. The first is address the audience to start. Two is greeting and gratitude. You can say greet and thank them to show friendliness. You can just good morning and thank you. Um, the next is attention grabber, like get the audience attentions. The next introductions is tell them what you are going to say, like the school acknowledges the parents, guardians are the primary educator. As a professional body of teachers, the staff of St. David's works in cooperations with the students and the home to help each individual pupil to reach her potential. Next, it's body, like tell them, like we the examples is we view education as the development of the whole child, and attention is a place not just to intellectual development but also in the purpose physical, social, and spiritual development. And um, the conclusions, and in these conclusions, um, you can tell them all you have said earlier. And the last is ending. In this ending, you have to make them remember something or give your gratitude to them. You can say like success nourishes them. They can because they think they can. Okay. I think that's all from me. I apologize for all my mistakes. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.